Hey, everybody. Do you realize we're up to episode 28 of the Rusty and Jan Show?
This week's guest is folk music historian, DJ, and internet trailblazer Ray Naylor.
That's right. And we're going to feature a song by Terry Ravel. And of course, we'll hear from George over at Melanie Cafe.
We'll also update you on the upcoming events in our community, and we'll have some very exciting announcements to make.
Oh, yeah. So if you're ready, let's get started with
The Rusty and Jan Show.
When the world comes crashing down on us, they're always there, and they're always happy company because they care. Oh, yes, they care. And when you need to take out pain, well, no one else will do. Dial the phone or go on Zoom. Thank God there are friends like you. I said, thank God there are friends like you.
Our song of the week is from our good friend Terry Ravel.
It was recorded at one of our recent open mics and has always been a crowd favorite.
This is called Looking for June. Ow!
If anybody wants to howl, feel free. Even I won't be able to hear you. Pardon me if I hit you with a line. Pardon me if I say things like, wish you were mine. It just wouldn't be right if I gave up on you. I'd only end up at the home of the blues. I grew up with Johnny Cash and June Carter. What he had to go through, he couldn't have without her. I learned to play, I walked the line in Folsom Prison. I still miss someone, but when they sang together, knew they were in love and having fun. I'm like Johnny Cash, looking for his June. Here we go. I'm like Hank Williams, howling at the moon. Won't you think it's strange if I give up too soon? I'm like Johnny Cash, looking for his June. Sometimes I'm so lonesome I could cry and understand why the whippoorwill was too blue to fly. If old Hank just had a woman he could count on all the time, and maybe he could have made it past the age of 29. I'm like Johnny Cash, looking for his June. I'm like Hank Williams, howling at the moon. Won't you think it's strange if I give up too soon? I'm like Johnny Cash, looking for his June. Mother Maybelle. Try again. Would we end up like Stevie Nicks and Lindsey Buckingham? But I think it's the right thing, and I know you'd be happy all the time. Can it be so bad to take a chance on love and leave those blues behind? I'm like Johnny Cash, looking for his June. I'm like Hank Williams, howling at the moon. Don't you think it's strange if I give up too soon? I'm like Johnny Cash, looking for his June. Like Johnny Cash, looking for his June. I got all all choked up and put down my gun, called him a pa and he called me a son. I came away with a different point of view, and I think about him every now and then, every time I try, every time I win the fire to have a son. Well, I think I'm going to name him Bill or George or Harry, anything but Sue.
And now it's time for Going Out with Rusty and Jan. Hello, and welcome again to Going Out with Rusty and Jan.
We have so much to tell you about this week. So many things have changed with the Rusty and Jan show and some other recent opportunities. But we'll tell you all about it after we update you on the community calendar.
Here are our upcoming guests. On August the 16th, we'll talk to Heidi Wolfson. On August the 22nd, we'll feature Stephen Lord. And on August the 29th, we'll interview Barry Dwyer.
Oh, yes, Barry Dwyer. You know him from the open mic. He's the big guy. Melanie Cafe is continuing to have indoor performances. As always, please remember to support both the artist and the cafe. Here are some upcoming shows. On Saturday, the 14th, Barry Bohr and Joe Navidi will take the stage from 2 to 5 p.m. Sunday, August 15th, will feature Paul Woznicki from 1 to 4 p.m. Jan does the booking for Melanie, so if you're interested in scheduling a show, please contact her.
Our weekly open mic is continuing to thrive. We'll continue to have our hybrid event until everyone is comfortable performing inside. We have a new sign-up time on Wednesday. It'll now be an hour later on 6 p.m. on the Melanie Open Micers Facebook group page.
We just figured it would be better for all concerned. People are going back to work now, so it's hard to get to the page at 5 o'clock. So let us know how that works out for you. So here's the information on this season's upcoming festivals. The Philadelphia Folk Festival will be a hybrid event this year and will take place on August 21st through 22nd. It will feature live concerts at the Spring Mountain Ski Area, limited to a maximum of 1,000 audience members. Instead of in-person camping, PFS will once again offer virtual campsites. For more details, visit www.pfs.org.
XFest will take place in person at the Country Creek Winery on September 17th and 18th. Their volunteer registration page is now open at www.xfsmusic.org.
And let me just tell you about XFest if you haven't been there before. It's even though it was founded, say, 20 years ago, and it's not your grandfather's folk festival, it's just sponsored by the guys who are now grandfathers. But anyhow, it is an edgy festival. It's kind of bluegrassy, it's kind of folky. It's a lot of young people with a different interpretation about what folk music is and such. And it's very, very fascinating. So I would encourage you to come. And the Pops Train Music Festival is continuing to take shape. As previously mentioned, it will take place on September 25th from 10 to 4 and will coincide with the Tuckahoe Transportation Heritage Festival. They will have a number of activities that day, including an excursion train, motor card rides, and they're going to display trains. We started to line up some of the performers for that day, and we still have a few slots. So if you're interested in performing, please let Jan know. Wristbands can be purchased for $10 for adults and $5 for kids, and will give you access to all the activities. If you're performing, the price of the wristbands will be waived. And don't forget that we'll be filming footage for the video to go along with my song, Pops Train. We'd love to have you take part in the filming, so think about what you might want to wear, since it kind of takes place back when I was 6 years old and pre-Beatles. So you might want to consider that. It's going to be fun.
PFS Fall Fling will happen in person October 1st through the 3rd with limited access in Green Lane, Pennsylvania. This is the day we have been waiting for,
Yep.
a chance to finally attend a festival in person. This weekend has always been so much fun, and we hope that you'll join us. We just purchased our tickets and are looking forward to seeing everyone. For more information, visit www.pfs.org.
And now for breaking news. Rusty and Jan are going on radio and TV. As many of you are aware, Ray Naylor and the Philadelphia Folk Song Society have been hosting a local radio show called The Philly Folk Scene. It's broadcast out of PhillyCam on WPPM 106.5 FM.
Ray has always been very generous to work with us in the past, and we feel extremely honored that he has asked us to continue this program in his place. The radio show will occur on a weekly basis, and each episode will last 2 hours. We plan to continue a local artist focus, and we encourage you to send us your original music. You can listen to it on the radio at 106.5 FM, or if you're out of the area, you can hear it at www.phillycam.org/listen.
PhillyCam will also be the new home of the
The
Rusty
Rusty
and
and
Jan
Jan
Show. Because of the changes in our schedule, we've had to change things around a little bit. This means that the Rusty and Jan Show will move to one episode a month, but it'll be broadcast on public access TV and can be viewed at www.phillycam.org/watch. They'll air each episode throughout the month on a weekly basis, and you'll have multiple opportunities to view it.
All of this will take place in late September or early October. We are waiting to find out what day of the week these programs will occur on, and we'll update you when we have that information. In the meantime, please continue to tune in to our show every Monday on Facebook or YouTube.
And like us and subscribe to us and do all that social media stuff because it all helps in the end. So we really do appreciate your support and all the things you do for us and this family.
And now it's time to see what George is cooking up at the Melilani Cafe this week. It's time for George's Corner.
Hey everybody, and welcome to George's Corner. I'd like to thank Rusty and Jan for having me on this show, and exciting news for Rusty and Jan as they grow with more radio show and more broadcasting. We have open mic this Thursday. It's middle of the summer, but we're still have a lot of people coming out. We have on Friday this week. We have a Friday night show. We have Jefferson Berry, so come check that out. We have Barry Bohr on Saturday from 2 to 5. And we have full Woznicki from 1 to 4 on Sundays. So we have a nice music schedule. So come check us out, and definitely follow Rusty and Jan on Facebook too. And check out our website, and we're open 7 days a week. Thanks, bye.
And now it's time for Head to Head with Rusty and Jan.
One thing that musicians like us have in common is that we have an ever-changing path to our future.
You never know how this business is going to go.
That's for sure.
Yeah. Yes. Part of performing is about being aware of the opportunities and the ability to set up your own gigs.
We've had our difficulties with venue managers who promised one thing and delivered something else.
Oftentimes we were just stiffed. They didn't pay us at all, even though they said, and he said, well, it depends how many people come out and whatever, But at the same time, we've had great opportunities with venues like Barrington Coffee House, Cosmic Cafe, and of course, our beloved Melilani Cafe. And if you want to go back to the early 70s, I started at the Perimeter Coffee House at Rutgers campus in Camden, New Jersey, and that was a life-changing experience.
While the journey is sometimes precarious, overall, it has been a wonderful and positive journey.
Part of it is the ability to network. The conversation usually goes something like, hey, Rusty and Jan, I just found a great new venue. You should call them and get something going.
It's our mission to be encouraging to everyone who comes through those doors. We're proud to be an equal opportunity advocate centered in the artistic community of Mount Airy.
Yes, Philadelphia.
You're aware that what we do requires organization and communication with everything from emails to monthly announcements. In the days before Facebook, Ray Naylor was doing just that.
Yes, he was. And we'll talk a little bit more about that when we get to the interview portion. We had a great conversation with Ray, and this is how it went. About the time that I really decided to get serious about my music, I just said, "This is it. I got to get out there. I gotta make my way. It'd be so much harder to live with the regret of not trying." And no sooner did I get out there and start to hit some of the venues in Philly that I found our friend today that we're about to interview. I can only let you know that throughout my experience with this gentleman, he has always been an inspiration to singer-songwriters and poets in the area. He's been the pathfinder. He's created rules for etiquette at an open mic. He also was one of the very first people on the internet to list open mics in the area so that local singer-songwriters would have an opportunity to get their stuff out there. And then he just went on into the media world and, again, just kind of blazed the path for so many of us. So I can't tell you how proud I am to be able to introduce this Philadelphia legend, Ray Naylor.
Hi, Ray.
Hey,
Hey, Jan and Rusty.
Oh,
Not
no,
Rusty
that's not it
Jan,
now.
but Jan and Rusty.
Jan and Rusty are Rusty and Jan.
There we go.
That's what we do.
That's what we do.
How you doing today, Ray?
I'm good.
Yeah.
Good.
Yeah.
How about you?
Good.
Good.
Well, yeah, absolutely. Yeah, doing real well. So, anyhow, to get started, most people we interview, they tell me that they get the bug when they're 15, 16, 17, but it was later for you, right? To start into music?
Well, in terms of me, I mean, I was in the choir in church, so I guess we can count that.
We do.
Absolutely, we can.
When I graduated from college, which is 1969, I had to take a couple summer courses before I got my degree. And there was another guy there who had to do the same thing, and he had a guitar. And I never played guitar. So I went to his room and I picked the guitar up and I just put my finger on the first fret and went up the frets, and I thought, oh, that's how it's done. So a little bit later I started learning. I taught myself to play guitar, and I'm still trying to figure out how to do it. But
Aren't we all?
Well, you never stop
Absolutely.
learning.
No, you never do. So,
But I never got in front of anybody to play until I was 1980, so I was about 32 years old then.
yeah. Okay. Yeah. So, yeah, and you got involved with a lot of places, open mics in the area. I remember, I think you were at a place down on Chestnut Street. I think it was.
Avanos.
Yeah.
That was the first one, yeah.
That was that the first one. What was
First
it
one I
again?
ever went to, yeah.
Okay. Well, then of course you went to the legendary Point out in Bryn Mawr, and my God, just about everybody who picked up a guitar came through that place. That was quite the place for a long while. I'll tell you a story about that. I went there one time, and I saw Peter Tork standing across the room. And I went up to him and I said, "You're Peter Tork." And then I realized how ridiculous it was that I said that, and he said, "Well, don't worry about it. People do it all the time." And, he was very nice and everything. So after that, I went over to Steve Perlswig and I said, "Steve, you know who that is?" He said, "That's Peter Tork." He ran over to him and he said, "You're Peter Tork." But there are those funny things that happen when you meet up with these crazy musicians. They're emotional beings unto themselves, and you've always really taken quite a leadership role with many of them, and guiding them along the way.
Yeah. So, what drew you to that leadership role?
Yeah, why?
Open mics and such.
Why would you help the other ones? Why would you be so instrumental in other musicians?
I think the main reason is I'm basically crazy.
Like we are.
I mean, I started, the first thing I really did, I went to the Bothy Club, but then that same year, I knew somebody that had a radio program at a Widener University. And so he got me in there. So that was my first time doing anything. And then I did a cable TV show out there, Delaware County. A bunch of other stuff. We don't have to go through the litany of it, but
yeah, but that was a while ago for you to be involved with video. So yeah.
That was the first. Yeah, that was the first time.
Sure. And you did work with David Wanup for a little while, the guy from.
Well, no, I didn't really work with David, but I met him at one of the three places that I had booked in the '90s called Biddle's Cafe.
Right.
And also in the '90s, I also managed three singer-songwriters. Had a couple concert series,
Right.
And other. Oh, you mentioned about the newsletter, about the list of open mics. I did that.
Yeah.
It's called the Open Mic Monitor. That's what I call it.
That's right.
Right. It was very helpful to a lot of people. It really was. Back in that, we're talking 20, 25 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
So while there was a few places to play, it wasn't not like today where just everybody's doing an open mic, anybody with a, But back then it was hard to find stuff, and you were helpful in that.
Well, I started with 11 open mics in the newsletter, and when I stopped doing it, I think I had 88.
Oh my God.
And that was a three-state thing. It wasn't just Philadelphia, obviously.
Right. And now there's a website called Open Mics that covers the whole United States.
Yeah.
Took your idea and ran with it. It was something that was needed. When we take a trip down to Florida, that's what we do when we want to get out and see what's going on. So
Absolutely.
now with the internet, when that started with you, that was basically a mailing list. You were just.
I think that, I was thinking about this. I think the first time I did anything on the internet, I did an internet radio show back about 2006.
Okay.
And it was very similar. I played music and I interviewed people. I recorded interviews. One of the people I interviewed was Jeff Daniels, the
I
actor.
remember that. Yes, I saw that one.
That was cool.
It was very cool.
I think I remember that.
When my first album came out, No Shrink Wrap, I heard of a thing called Ustream, which is one of the few streaming platforms that existed at that time. We're talking like 2009 or something like that. So I thought it would be cool to stream my CD release party, which I did. And then I thought, it would be kind of cool to do this, but have people come in and I'd interview them and they'd play their music and so forth and so on. And that's what I did. And that was of course, over the internet. And then I went on with the other thing I did for YouTube called the Performing Songwriter, which I did for 4 years. Did 100 shows.
Wow.
And that was similar.
Yeah. Wow. And you worked with the legendary Gene Shea on projects.
I did.
With promoting other people and such. So that might have been quite an experience, I'm sure.
Yeah, well, he had a newsletter called the Singer-Songwriter, and he had asked me to help him on that.
I see.
So I remember going down his basement and looking at all his albums and CDs and who knows what else that he had.
Yeah. Well, it was Gene, He may have had an old joke book. Who knows?
He may have had hours in there somewhere too.
We always joke about the
You never want to go to the cutout rack in the record store because you might find your CD there.
Well, I had somebody that said, this is my first CD.
Uh-huh.
Somebody I worked with, he goes, I found your CD down in Atlantic City, and I paid $1 for it.
Well, that's kind of a compliment.
Yeah.
What the heck? You made it to the shore.
Yeah.
I remember we did a thing over at the Barrington Cafe. There was a lot of the people who went there. We all performed a different number, and we heard from somebody later on that someone in China actually liked our song. That was about the furthest we'd ever gotten away
That's
with
cool.
anything. So, I know. It was only one person, but what the heck? It was China. So what was the hard stuff? I mean, for an audience member, we look at what you do and it looks very glamorous and a lot of fun and everything. But I know there's a lot of work involved in making things happen in your projects.
Yeah, well, an example would be when I did the Performing Songwriter YouTube show. The easiest part of it was being on the camera, in front of the camera.
Yeah.
All the other stuff I had to do was research. I had 3 camcorders, so I had to do a lot of video editing, which took about 5 hours for each show, and just a bunch of other stuff like that. So the background work is always the most difficult.
Well, I would imagine. And I guess the research,
Exact
right?
research.
That's got to be a lot, overwhelming. So
So do you have a song for us?
I do.
Excellent.
Now, this is the first song that I've written in 3 years. And as I said, I'm 73, and this song is called When You're Old. When you're old, you're really old. You can die from the common cold. And if you dye your hair, nobody will care. They'll just say that you're too damn old. And when you're young, it's just for a while. You can walk and run a couple miles, but it won't last forever. No one's that clever, so wipe off that smirky smile. And when you're old, they'll throw you some perks. If you want, you can act like a jerk. There's Social Security, you've lost your agility. Just remember, you don't have to work. So what if you're not in your prime? Who cares if you lose track of time? And you may lose your friends, you may have to wear Depends. Just be glad that you haven't yet flatlined. It's true that you'll have to admit it's been years and years since you were fit. You may find yourself bent over, but you're still above the clover. So you still have time to write your own obit.
Oh my God, that was great.
that was so good. That was so good.
That was very reminiscent of Loudon Wainwright's.
I
that
almost
whole
said that.
album, Older Than My Old Man Now. Have you heard that one?
No, I haven't.
Oh, you should check it out. It's hilarious. The songs on it are great.
We love his writing. We just do. Very much like you in a lot of respects.
Yeah.
So.
So we appreciate all the times that we were involved in your project, especially as you moved into audio and video. Can you tell us about those endeavors?
Well, as I said, the first time I did anything, well, I did the internet radio show, but then I did the streaming show on Ustream. And then I did the Performing Songwriter show, and that was really cool because I learned how to edit video enough to make it look half decent.
Yeah.
And I learned a little bit of how to edit audio. And what was cool is I always used external mics for the audio, and then I would sync that with the audio and the cameras. And once that was done, I would just mute the audio and the cameras. Right. So that was, I'm really glad I had a chance to learn all that stuff.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah. That's that old dog new tricks thing. I guess it doesn't apply to us. That's about the time we got moving.
That's right.
Ray, I've got to say the same thing. Since we started doing the Rusty and Jan show, I've learned how to do video editing, and at first I was resistant to it, but now I'm kind of having fun with it, and it's a skill I'm glad I have.
Yeah. Well, I know what you mean about. I think I used a thing called Final Cut Pro, which is Apple's professional video editing software. But I think months and months before I had the courage to use it.
Isn't that the thing? It's not just the learning curve, it's the fear of the learning curve, it just holds you back. So I can appreciate that. Yeah.
Absolutely.
But we talk about projects that we've done together. There's been so many projects. There's been friends that we've lost that we've done concerts in recognition to. There's been parties over the years. There's been a whole family of people that go back 25 years, and
Yeah.
it's a beautiful thing to be involved with. It really is.
I mean, not to mention, I did that women's benefit about, I want to say 5 or 6 years ago, and you live streamed that for us.
That's right. That's right.
Really?
Oh yeah.
Back at Melilani, it was about women who were trying to get out of abusive situations, and I asked you if you would live stream it, and you did for me.
Wow.
So
Yeah.
I don't
And-
remember that.
well, maybe
Probably a lot of things I don't remember.
Well,
Yeah.
or you're just being modest. It could be that too. But,
No.
or it was just another everyday thing for you.
Right.
But
Now we have a special interest in what it is you're doing now, and that's with Philly Cam, the radio show.
I've been doing a radio show called Philly Folk Scene, which kind of the Folk Song Society is kind of involved in that. I have a individual membership at Philly Cam, but there's also organizational memberships. So I asked Justin Nordell, who, if they would be open to opening an organizational member, because at the time I thought maybe that would help me get the show, which I think it did. So that's kind of cool, and I've been doing it for 3.5 years. I've interviewed people, including yourselves, in the studio. Now I haven't been in the studio since last March because of the pandemic. So I've been producing the shows at home and doing my interviews on the internet, and then recording them and then editing them down, that kind of stuff.
I see. Yeah. Well, when we understand that you want to get back involved in some more musical things, and
Well, yeah, I've done a lot, and a lot of what I've done, I always wanted to help other musicians, and a lot of the stuff I've done, I think have probably done that. Some of my own music may have suffered a little bit over time. So as I said, that song I just did was the first one in 3 years, so I'd like to get back to that and like to play out a little more.
yeah, good to be home, I'm sure. Yeah.
have to book you up at Melilani.
Yes, absolutely.
Let's do that.
Let's do that.
Let's
yeah.
talk about it.
Well, the other thing about your radio show, I guess it's fair to say now that as you step down, that we'll be stepping up into that slot. I have to tell you, that's awful big shoes for me to fill. We've really created quite the
Me as well.
presence, and it's a little scary for us. But
Well, I think you
keep the
guys.
phone open,
Yeah. I think you guys will do great because I've been watching these shows that you do, and you have a nice back and forth, and that's really cool. I didn't have that for the most. I had guests, but
Sure.
it'll make it a lot easier, I think, on you, and you guys are interesting when you talk.
Oh,
Well, thank you, Ray.
that's really appreciated coming from you, and I think the both of us would have to say that not having someone to bounce ideas back and forth across and be out there all by yourself, that's a lonely, hard gig,
Yeah.
So whenever the conversation lags on my side, well, Jan's right there to jump in, So,
Yeah, I mean, so God bless you for doing it for
Yeah.
as many years as you've done.
absolutely.
And we mentioned earlier, you've always been such a trailblazer. So
Yeah, absolutely. So you have any special projects coming up?
I do have a gig coming up at the New Avenue Cafe, which is in Havertown, and Jim Worcester is the guy that put that together, and he has other stuff. He does a lot of things with disabled people, and a lot of the people that work there are disabled. So it's going to be August 15th, Sunday from 10 to 12, and I've actually been practicing, which is a good thing.
Well, that's good, I guess. Although I was thinking your age, you might be practiced enough, but as you
No,
say,
no, don't
you
say
know.
that.
But that's a wonderful room. The families that are there
Yes.
and the attendees, and it's a great big room, great big stage, and all. And I would encourage people to go out there. It's
Yeah.
just a wonderful, warm environment. It really is, and a lot of
It's
good work done there too.
it's a very heartwarming
Yeah,
project to be
yeah,
involved in. Those people are so appreciative
yeah,
when you come down and
yeah.
play for them. So,
So, no, that's great.
so how about another song?
I have one more. And I actually wrote it. I was watching one of those old VHS1 programs behind this music scene. And it was a story about Keith Moon, who was the drummer for The Who. And his road manager, or ex-road manager, said, one thing I learned from Keith is it don't cost nothing to love. I said, there's a song. So in 30 minutes, this is what I ended up with. It don't cost nothing to love. It don't cost nothing to love. Maybe it's here in your eye, 'cause your pocket is dry. It don't cost nothing to love. My wallet is thin, it rarely wears out. Pickpockets, leave me alone. My banker just grins whenever I'm in. He knows all the money I've blown. But it don't cost nothing to love. It don't cost nothing to love. Maybe a tear in your eye, 'cause your pocket is dry. It don't cost nothing to love. I worked all my life and nothing to show for all the money I've earned. I can't understand how it slips through my hands, and my hands, money just burns. But it don't cost nothing to love. It don't cost nothing to love. Maybe a tear in your eye, 'cause your pocket is dry. It don't cost nothing to love. Love don't cost, but it ain't free. You don't need silver or gold. You just need a heart that never gives up from the time that you're young to the time that you're old. It don't cost nothing, no, it don't cost nothing. It don't cost nothing to love. It don't cost nothing, no, it don't cost nothing. It don't cost nothing to love. It don't cost nothing to love. It don't cost nothing to love. It don't cost nothing to love.
Lovely, lovely,
Beautiful.
lovely.
I like that.
Yeah, it's a real message for our times. So yeah, that's great. So, well, I want to thank you for the time you spent with us today. This is just a wonderful thing, and reminiscing with you and looking back on some earlier times. It's just been an honor and a privilege. That's all I can say.
And before we let you go, if people wanted to purchase one of your albums or look up some of your music, where would they find you?
The best place anymore is my Facebook page. I no longer have a website. I just have Facebook. And I have at least 500 copies of my second album.
Okay.
So there's many to be gotten. I've even thought of paying people $10 just to take them off my hands. But probably not.
I hear you.
Well, I think you ought to bring them down to Melalani. I'm sure there's people down there would love to see them.
I'm
So
just like, here.
we understand. Believe me.
Did you have I think on one of your songs you were talking about all the things you could do with the unused or
Oh,
unsold
yeah.
CDs?
Yeah, it was a please buy my CD. It was the name of the song.
That was great.
Well, I think that's one that people should check out.
Yes,
Absolutely.
absolutely.
So,
Well, thank you, Ray.
thanks, Ray, and thanks for everything. It's as I said, it's just been a pleasure.
Well, Rusty and Jan, thank you, and I'm looking forward to listening to your radio show.
Oh my God, I can't believe
Oh
that.
my God.
It's amazing.
All right.
Okay, very good. Thanks. Well, Jan, I think the most exciting thing about moving forward is the adventure
And experiencing it together.
with our dear friends. Yes. You never know when the things that you take for granted change. Pandemics change timelines, which may have an effect on your adventures.
But sometimes, as we have found, it creates new opportunities for adventures that we haven't anticipated.
That's right. We didn't see anything like this coming.
That's for sure.
There's no question things came to us over this past year that we hadn't expected, and we're really happy that they did.
And we're so happy that you're willing to join us on the further adventures of Rusty and Jan.
Here's a song about a time in my life when I thought my music career was over. I didn't think I was going anywhere.
We hope it encourages you to keep going and to find your own adventure.
Here's a song from Bearded Rusty. It's called Billy's Song.
Billy woke up late one afternoon, feeling wrong, and in his heart he thought he heard a tune. He heard a song. He grabbed a piece of paper and he then began to write. With agony and joy he stayed up all the night. When the morning came, he saw such a sight. There was a song he wrote about the things he kept inside. All in a song, the feelings that most other people hide. In his song, a song about love, a song about hate, a song about equality for all the human race, a song that could shake the world and put man in his place. All in a song, he played it in the streets around the town. He played his song. Soon the local people came around for a song. They said that he should share his song for all the world to hear. Take it to the record man, he had nothing to fear. They're sure to record it and bring the world to tears. All with his song. Record man did not have much to say about his song, 'cause Billy caught him on a busy day with his song. Well, there's a million unsung songs in the closets of the land, and a million silent singers like a beach's lonely sand, who pray for just one more chance to try it all again. Oh, with their song. Billy woke up late one afternoon, feeling wrong, and in his heart he thought he heard a tune. He heard a song. He thought of when he wrote it some 40 years ago, and he found it in the closet, but it made him feel so low. And he brushed away a tear so no one would ever know. Oh, damn that song.